Hello and welcome to my new video. I have here a tumbler that I want to make, and I have some fabric that are made with my jelly plate and those little frames made out of resin, and I want to use that to make a tumbler. If this sounds interesting to you, just come along and I'll show you how I do it. So these are the fabrics that I printed myself with acrylic color and my jelly plate. And I'm trying to decide which one I would like to put on this tumbler. And I don't really know where this tumbler is going yet, and that's why it's kind of hard for me to decide which one I will take at the end. This video will be a little bit longer than the ones that I usually do, but I hope you be patient with me and stick around because it was so much happening with this tumbler. In the end, I used this blue batik fabric that I bought from the quilt store because this was much thinner than the fabrics that I printed out myself. So I have here my self-made Mod Podge, and I'm putting a lot of it onto that cup because the fabric will suck up a lot of that glue, and this is wanted because it will stick much better to the tumbler. I'm not putting the glue all over the tumbler because it would dry out before I get to the point where I put my fabric all the way around, and I'm doing this in sections, as you can see. And now I'm taking my fabric and putting it really straightforward onto the tumbler, feeling with my fingers whether I have some puckers or some air trapped underneath the fabric, and I do that all around. On the edges, you have to be really careful that they will stick onto the tumbler right. And I left overlapping fabric for about an inch, but that was too much, 2 inches, but that was too much, so I cut it down. And on the edges, you have to be really careful because you don't want if you cut the fabric, you don't want a gap to be shown on that tumbler. So what I did here, I put a lot of Mod Podge on there again and let that dry thoroughly. I let that dry 24 hours, and now I take my painter's tape and putting it down onto the cup just to have somehow a guide with a straight edge. And now I'm taking my cutter knife and cut through both layers of the fabric just to make a clean edge on both sides. That cut enables me to get rid of the overlap that we have on top, and it will also get rid of the fabric that was underneath. So when we put it back together, there will be no obvious visible seam if we're lucky. So I just take my knife and get rid of all the stringies and stuff that are keeping the bottom layer attached, and then we'll be having no overlapping fabric at all. So after I loosened those edges a little bit up, I put a lot of Mod Podge underneath and on top of it, just so I will have no lifting when I put my epoxy on. I put another layer, a thick layer of Mod Podge on that tumbler, just to make sure that it stays on there. And then I took my little scissor and made slits into the bottom to bend the fabric around the bottom. From looking at it now, I should have just cut it off and not doing it this way. Next time I won't. So I'm taking a lot of the Mod Podge and put it on the bottom, and now I'm trying to put the lashes down, hopefully without any puckers or anything else that will stick out from the tumbler. After 24 hours and the Mod Podge was dry, I'm taking my tape here and I'm wrapping it around just as a guide to where to cut the fabric on the top of the tumbler. I should have done that like I was saying with the bottom too, but I didn't, so I had to work with it. Now I'm taking my cutter knife and just running it along the rim of the tape just to have a straight edge. And be careful, those knives are really, really sharp. And if you cut it off right, you just can loosen the fabric and you have exact the rim that you wanted. I decided against those little picture frames that I showed at the beginning, and I thought I put some stencil. I used some stencils with that cup. But you got to be careful when choosing a design for those cups. The hole's not supposed to be too big because otherwise you will have a lifting and you cannot put the gilding glue on like I need to get the result that I want. I'll show you that right now. This is the reason why you can't use stencils with big holes going around, because you can't just glue that on. You want to put something over it. That's why those stencils won't work. Now with this stencil, it's different. This is why I chose that one. And here you can see the little edge that I have from cutting my fabric. And I put the stencil right over it and taking my painter's tape and sticking it to the cup. You got to make it snug so the gilding glue won't get underneath the stencil. So this is my gilding glue, and this is like a paste. And now I'm taking my little sponge and dabbing it onto the tumbler. Yeah. Important is that you dab the gilding glue on there and not rubbing it on like with a brush, because otherwise you put the gilding glue underneath those little pieces of the stencil. Guess how I know? And this is what the wet glue looks like on the tumbler. It's got to be really, really dry to be tacky before you put your foil on. This foil is something like a heat transfer foil. It works beautifully with this technique, and yeah, it's like really easy to do. You just put it on there with the shiny side up and you rub it onto the glue. And when you lift it back up, you will see that the gold foil will stick to the cup. And you don't have to worry about the size of the foil, because if you have a bigger design, just put it back on with the parts that have still gold on it. And yeah, you can make touch-ups with that too. So don't worry, just dab it on there and the design will be on there. There are a little more touch-ups that I have to do, and then we can move on to the next step. And this is what it looks like now. And it covers the slit really, really nicely. So to prevent lifting, when I put my epoxy on, I put a thick layer of Mod Podge on top again, and let that dry. Because I have that white edge there on the top rim, I didn't like that, and that's why I put some gold glitter on there. And I will do the same thing to the bottom as well, because on the bottom it's a really harsh line and I don't like that. And that's why I put the gold glitter on. And I let that whole thing dry. Now it's 24 hours later again, and this is my first layer of epoxy. So far so good, but now the problems begin. Because the design didn't go all the way around, I had this big gap there, and this is where I want to put my name down. Yeah, I was trying it three ways. First with this iridescent glitter, then I took a blue glitter and I didn't like it, and then I took a gold one. But as I was trying to brush off the excess glitter from the gold, it took away, as you can see there on the M, the whole glitter, so I didn't like that. So what I did is I sanded off that what I put on there, because I couldn't get it off any other way. And yeah, I have something like relief paste. This is like puff paint, and no, not puff paint, pearl paint. And I'm writing down with my handwriting my name. And I just let it run for you a little bit faster, and this was it, at least as far as my name was concerned. And ever since I don't have no pre-cut or something, I have to do it by myself. If you like this video, please leave me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, comment, ask questions, please, if you want. I would really appreciate that because it gets me just further into my art journey. Thank you. So, and because I don't have no labels, I was trying to sign my cup there, but the pen that I used made smudges underneath the epoxy, and I didn't really like that. So I took, before I put the last layer on top of the tumbler, I put a layer of blue glitter on there just to cover it a little bit and make it look much more neater.